Yes, another day. We are here. All right, guys. Another day, another beautiful episode. Hi. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Okay, we're here today with another episode. Your girl is down with the flu. Baby had it and he decided to pass it to me, but I've decided to do this today and I must be here. And just in case I have baby here with me, just in case you're hearing him in the background. But yeah, if you're new to this show, it's New Mom Diaries and we're 10 episodes in. Today's a 10th episode. And on here, we just share real life experiences with new moms, moms to be, OG moms, and we also bring in healthcare practitioners who specialize in these areas. So that's pretty much what today is about. But like I said, I would just go ahead regardless of the amount of people that we have. I know that as we go ahead, people are going to be joining, but I always upload every episode on my IGTV. So if you want to catch up on that, you can feel free to come back and watch it at your own time. But yeah, today's episode is a very, very interesting one. It is, according, I'm sure the title is up there. It is fitness during and after pregnancy. Also, I should actually have written before, during, and after pregnancy, because a lot of people underestimate the power of being fit. And when I say being fit, I'm not saying, oh, going to the gym or doing something really strenuous. It's just the little things that really go far in preparing yourself for being a mom or getting pregnant to start with. So that's what we're going to be talking about today and many more. So I'm just going to be sending a request to our guest of the day so we can just kick off to make sure that we cover everything that we have to do within the hour. Okay, so yeah, feel free to share the flyer on my story with your friends, and yeah, we can oh, she already sent one, so I'm just gonna accept it and we will go ahead. Hi. Hi, Krystle. How you doing?
Good.
Good. It's so nice of you to join in today. I was just telling the viewers about what our topic of today is and what it's about. But while we're waiting for people to join, I'm just gonna quickly go through what's the. Sorry, guys, I have baby here with me and he's down with the flu. So just in case you hear him in the background. But yeah, today's topic is, let me first introduce. The show is called New Mom Diaries. So on here, we discuss everything about being a new mom, before pregnancy, after pregnancy, everything around it, and just enlighten people about the whole experience as a whole. And I'm 10 episodes in. Today's actually the 10th episode. Krystle is here to grace us with her presence and share some very important information I'm sure that you guys will be happy to go away with. But if you do want to catch up on the previous episodes, they're all live on my IGTV. I always upload every episode immediately we're done. So you can catch up. If you can't stay to the end, please feel free to go and watch it at your own time. So with no further ado, no time to waste, let's get into it. Krystle, thank you so much for joining. I just want you to quickly introduce yourself to our audience of the day so they can know who we're talking to and what you do and everything. Just give us everything.
Guys, I am Krystle Howell. I'm so excited to be literally, I think this is our first interview officially across the pond away from each other. So I'm here. I am a women's health and orthopedic physical therapist, along with my sister Amy. We co-own Expecting and Empowered, which is pregnancy and postpartum fitness guides, and that's our area of expertise. I love to spread all word and education on that subject.
That's really good, guys. So basically, everything you want to know about before, after, during, everything about pregnancy, this is the place to be. And I have used this guide, so I can speak for it. I'm not just here to just promote what I haven't used. I have used it, so I know that it's really, really good. But we'll get into that. But just one thing. If you do stay to the end, we're going to be gifting one lucky mom one of the guides. So I would say you should do, if you're not pregnant, if you're about to get pregnant, you know someone who's pregnant who want this, I would say you should go share with them to join in, because before we go off for today, we're going to be giving that to someone, and I'm sure that would be go a long way for someone who's pregnant or expecting or is or just gave birth. So either ways, you'll be fine. Okay. So but yeah, I just wanted you to quickly tell us what about more about expecting and empowered. So what inspired you, yourself and Amy, to start doing this?
Yes. So my last year of PT school, we got to choose an elective. One of the electives was women's health, and I literally took it just for my own sole purpose. I was like, I need to know what's going to happen to my body when I hopefully have kids one day. So I had zero interest in like getting interested in the pelvic floor or women's health. But every single day of that course, I was like, what? Like, people don't get this information. It felt so unfair to me that our bodies go through so much and we get so little information, and then we can't make informed health decisions about our own health. And I feel like women are kind of just left to pick up the pieces after something goes wrong, when a lot of that can be prevented, minimized, reduced, and there's lots of different things within our control. And it almost feels then like we have control over our pregnancy and postpartum period versus like laying almost victim to it. Like, oh, that happened because of pregnancy, or that happened because of delivery.
That's really good, and that's, like I said, that's one of the things that really encouraged me to start this series, because I just felt like there is information out there, but I just feel like it's more of the negative information. You don't really get, there is positive information, but the negative outweighs the positive side. And these things are things I feel like should be out there. Like you said, if you're going to get pregnant, you should know what you're getting into. You should be able to prepare towards these things, because a lot of people don't know it. A lot of things just happen. They're like, oh, it's because I had a baby. But I feel like you can have a baby and still feel good about yourself, and you still, recover in a very good way. So I really encourage, I'm really happy at what you and Amy are doing, and I hope more people get to know more about this and follow your guide. So just to go into the topic of today. So I know that, I'm so sorry, guys. So what would you advise women to do? So in terms of before pregnancy, what would you advise? Because I feel like there's some things that can be done, because some people just feel like, oh, once they're ready to have a baby, all they have to do is, them and your partner just decide, oh, we're going to start trying at this time, and then boom, you're pregnant. Then it follows. But I feel like there's some things that you could start doing in terms of preparing your body to become before you get pregnant. So what are these things that you would actually say to someone who's about to or trying to have a baby?
Yes, you want to think about preparing this like temple that you're getting ready to house your baby in.
Yeah.
I think we all think of pregnancy with a clean slate, but actually, because of sport injuries, repetitive injuries from work, there's lots of asymmetries in our body, and asymmetries aren't a bad thing, but they can also really play a role in we're able to get pregnant. Our organs, like, so if I'm ovaries, if my fists are ovaries and uterus, the ovaries and fallopian tubes have to be together at a certain angle. But if you have like a posterior tilted uterus with like a fallopian tube that's like out to the side, this can happen because you literally fell down the stairs because it was icy and one part of your butt got bumped up. So I think before pregnancy, we can go into the hip and pelvic floor complex and see if we have strength on either side. So testing some hip strength. And then you really want to try to cue those symmetries back up. You could also see a women's health physical therapist or a chiropractor that specializes in this area. Are some really great ways to kind of prep your body for what's about to happen. And then a lot of women are taught to kind of like suck in their gut. I know like in high school, I was always like trying to pull in my gut.
Yeah.
Like you had that little line
Mm-hmm.
in your shirt and your pants.
Yeah.
Cool when I was in high school. So literally pulling everything in tight, but we have to like really get used to this feeling of letting things go. Our abs aren't supposed to stay, or we're not supposed to suck in, or we're not supposed to keep our pelvic floors on all the time.
Yeah.
It's too much tension. There's not this nice flow in your core and things don't happen automatically. So really letting go of some of these naughty behaviors that we're sucking in.
That's really good that you said that, because just before I had my baby, I actually did not know that it was a thing for you to prepare. I knew obviously that you trying to have a baby, the process you go through, I knew that, but I actually did not think that, like what you mentioned about the fallopian tube and the ovaries being aligned and things like that. I would never have thought about that, and I don't think a lot of people actually do know that. So it's a good thing that you've pointed that out, and I feel like a lot of people take that into consideration when trying for a baby or your next baby. So I just wanted to find out another thing I wanted to discuss. So this is more about during the pregnancy. So there's some things that happen, like things like the pelvic floor dysfunction, diastasis recti, urinary inconsistency. There are a lot of things. These are just a few that I can remember at the top of my head that I know happen. But some people have already accepted that, oh, once I'm pregnant, it's normal to have these things, which is fine. Some people, no matter how much they plan, can still have it depending on kind of body that they have. But I feel like these things can be prevented or avoided, or probably not even going to have it at all, or reduced, if I should say the word. So what are the things that you would say that can be done for people to avoid these things?
Totally. So with like, say for example, diastasis recti, whenever tissue is being stretched out, what diastasis recti is a split in the abdominal walls in the front, and this can really create a lot of havoc for moms postpartum because like still pregnant, your core is not functioning correctly. You can have back pain. You can have like kind of prolapse that stems off of this. So really being able to strengthen that area. Hi, buddy. Being able to strengthen up is going to help create the tensile force so that the abs don't split as much. And then two, not it's almost like that yogi or Goldilocks and the Three Bears. You can't do too much stuff where you're really loading the core up where it can't. And how you know you're loading it up too much in pregnancy, you can even do this accidentally getting up off the couch at the end of your pregnancy. So if you see that like coning or doming where it goes straight out in front of you, where it really goes, you want to, when you're transitioning movements, like even sit to stand, getting out of the couch, you want to almost pull baby back in towards you, like you're giving your stomach a hug. And so that coning or doesn't happen, so that we're not putting pressure, too much pressure on that recti. And then also you have the other end of the spectrum where people do nothing. And then that nothing can create too much stretch in the abdominal muscles, and then that's when they happen to separate super easily.
Oh wow! So it's funny how you did mention that, because a lot of people would not think that, oh, I should take my time when I'm standing up when pregnant, because obviously I feel like when you're heavily pregnant, you're already taking your time because you're already slow, but we feel like, oh, when you're standing, you're taking the precaution that you need while standing. But I still feel like these things still happen regardless of how much we feel we're trying to be careful. But taking more time to actually attend to these things, I feel is really good. So it's a good thing that you guys are doing this. And like I said, guys, so one lucky mom is going to be getting this guide. So I feel like you should pay more attention and stay to the end just in case. But yeah, and there's another thing I wanted to touch on in terms of during pregnancy. So there are some other things in terms of, one second. So what kind of exercises would you recommend in terms of during practice? Like now, I'm sure when some people see this topic, there's like fitness. Some people don't even like working out even before pregnancy, was because I feel like once you mention, oh, fitness, you just feel like, oh, maybe going to the gym, or you have to be doing things that are going to be strenuous, and then talk less of when you were pregnant. I feel like some people shy away from it. So what kind of exercises do you think can be done that people would be happy to do and would be safe to avoid some of the certain things that happen during pregnancy?
Yeah, so every part of your pregnancy looks a little bit different. During the first trimester, one of the big goals is to help strengthen that abdominal area. So really movements through your abs. The second thing is during the second trimester is usually when moms feel the best. So that's when we can add a lot of movements that are kind of like dynamic movements. During that third trimester, we're really prepping the body for labor. So what helps prep the body for labor and delivery is allowing the pelvic floor to relax. The pelvic floor we don't need to push
Yeah.
baby out. It comes out. The uterus does that for us. The role of the pelvic floor is to get out of the way. So we really want to out at the end doing exercises, do like a deep thing where you're really allowing that pelvic floor to stretch at the bottom. So if I were to take my, and let me just show you what the pelvic floor is too, because I feel like a lot of people are not familiar with this
No,
area.
you'll be surprised.
Our pelvic floor goes from the front all the way to the back. It's a basin of muscles underneath our pelvis. And so basically this helps support baby. You know, when you see those like little stickers on a mom's belly and it's like, my baby is the size of a pumpkin. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? Holding up your pumpkin.
Oh,
And
wow.
so though during labor and delivery, this area has to be able to relax and get out of the way. So we want to strengthen both. We want to support the pelvic floor like as the baby grows, but we also want to let it go and be able to relax it. That happens with certain movements, like lunges are really great for something like that. And then also in the third trimester, being a mom, as you know, is very physical.
Yeah.
So there's lot going on. So upper back strengthening is super important at the end of our third trimester, starting to strengthen some of our rotator cuff muscles or upper back muscles through resistance bands. Prep your body for nursing and just carrying baby after.
Do you have something to say? But yeah, that's really, really important because I'm happy that you actually touched it in terms of from each trimester, because I feel like when I've tried to explain to some of my friends, you're like, oh, how do you work out during pregnancy? And I'm like, well, it's not the same workout you would do when you were not pregnant, but there's some certain things that you do, and it's actually different from each trimester. So it's really good that you did explain that in detail. So
go over the benefits that it has for babies. That has so many benefits. Moms, I could go over the benefits for moms, but I feel like they don't listen as much. But when we talk about their babies, they'll listen.
Yeah, they pay attention.
We exercise during our pregnancies. Our babies are easier to calm down, have like a calming effect on themselves easier. Also, their APGAR scores, which are scores that physicians and the nurses are taking to make sure that baby's healthy right after labor and delivery, are always scored better. Moms that exercise during pregnancy also typically have newborns that sleep for longer sleep increments. And then also it shows that moms that exercise have babies that have higher IQ scores, which is crazy, right?
So yeah, guys, that's a good thing. So please start exercising if you want your baby to be smart. But yeah, and thanks, Krystle, for actually pointing that out, because as you did mention, when you say the benefits to moms, she's like, oh yeah, whatever. But when you say to their babies, especially the things you just listed out in terms of IQ, sleeping longer, and being able to calm, I think those last two things are really, really important, because these are things that you kind of face when you give birth, trying to make baby sleep longer at night because you're not sleeping well. And if exercising and physical movement when you're pregnant actually does help, then I would actually advise you guys to start working out. But yeah, there was something else I wanted to touch on. So changes to the body that come with pregnancy. So now this is more after delivery. So things like or rather no, this is still on pregnancy. So there's some common things. So we would say they are the symptoms of pregnancy, like headaches, back pain, round ligament pain, sciatica, calf cramps, which in other terms can be called muscle pull. So these are some of the common things that do happen when you're pregnant. Some people just have already accepted that these things must happen, to say the least. And I feel like the fact that and what I've noticed over time is that the fact that not everyone has it makes me see that's a reason to tell you that it doesn't have to happen. The fact that not everyone that has a baby has those things. So what are the things that you can do or you would recommend that people do to reduce the chances of this common symptom happening with pregnancy?
Yeah, one of the biggest things is going to be to do some of the strength training. as we're pregnant, there's a lot of instability. Some of that is hormonally. So our hormones literally like skyrocket, which make our joints more unstable. That's where you can feel like that achiness during pregnancy, whether if it's in your SI joint or like your upper back and neck. But also too, the biomechanical changes that happen. So as your belly grows, your body is going to adapt to these certain positions to try to compensate for what it's lacking. And if we strengthen the muscles, it helps create stability in a system where we've lost some stability. So it's all this game of balancing out your muscles so that it can not have those issues that you talked about.
Yeah, that's really good. I know that I personally have gone through your guide, and even I did the postpartum one, but I have gone through the pregnancy part of things too, hopefully for the future when baby number 2 is coming. But I know you did mention something on there about, because I know headaches is something that is really common. Personally for me, I did have a lot of headaches when I was pregnant, especially in my second trimester. So I know that you did mention that there's some things having to do with the tension in your shoulder that does cause the headache to get worse when you're pregnant. So could you talk more on that, please?
Yes. So definitely postpartum too, or during pregnancy, what happens is our breast tissue is going to increase, and that usually makes our shoulders round. So what happens to the neck is the neck has to pull forward, and there's tiny, tiny little muscles at the top of our head that create all of those headaches. So one piece of it is getting our shoulders back, but it's not just saying like, oh, let's have good posture and stand up nice and straight. If you don't have the endurance to hold it, you're not going to be able to hold it. So with a lot of my headache patients, I'll even give them a band where they can do their band pull aparts. And then throughout the day too, kind of like checking where your head's at. So pulling your head back, just like if I had my head on a shelf here, I'm not tucking my chin down this way because the shelf's right there. I'm just pulling it straight back. And that's going to help lengthen this area that will often create headaches. So there's lots of different things to do for that. And again, all of that breast tissue in the belly makes us kind of get in this position.
Yeah, make you slouching.
Want to like try to fight that through some of the movements that we're doing. So you can kind of pull your head back like that. You can even use that as a stretch when your neck is sore, or two, if you have a lot of here, I can hold my hand and I can bring my head side to side, holding the spot that's sore, because it's going to get my muscles moving underneath that if I move my head on top of it. So you can get a lot of that out if we start to strengthen up our upper back.
That's really good. So basically you say that it's kind of because of the increase in the breast tissues, it kind of makes us slouch. So basically it has to do with your body posture, basically. Is that what you say?
Yes, and totally too, during pregnancy, what also happens is as the baby grows and the uterus moves upward, we get less reliant on our diaphragm. Our diaphragm's like amazing and our best friend, and then it keeps our breath down here. But if that baby, especially if the baby likes to sit, they're pushing into our diaphragm, so then we have to use our accessory breathing muscles, and they're these little muscles in the front that help raise our rib to draw in the air. So then you're always using this for things that you like for breathing, and you used to not use that for breathing.
Use that for breathing, yeah.
So we're overworking that area. So taking breaths too, like kind of connecting with baby and trying to breathe into the baby and out, breathe into the baby and out, kind of gets our diaphragm moving. The other thing that would be helpful is on your counter, on your kitchen, leaning forward and breathing into our upper back.
Into your back, yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good, guys. And I'm really happy that you're actually taking out time to even show some of these things, because some people just, once they just hear the word fitness, just like, no. And I'm like, it's the little things. It doesn't have to be you. Because when you're pregnant, you don't necessarily have to use a lot. I think it's just when it comes to equipment, it's more of a home workout and maybe resistant bands, and the little stretches actually go a long way. Because I always tell some of my friends, okay, if you don't want to work out, try to do yoga, because there's some pregnancy friendly yogas that actually help when it comes to doing the lower back and upper back stretches, and these things actually go a long way in helping pregnancy. So I'm happy that you did point out that and actually clarify, because when I tell some people that these symptoms of pregnancies can actually be avoided or prevented, because not everyone has it, and there's a reason why everyone doesn't have it. So
Yes.
I'm happy that you did clarify on that. And then in terms of after
Think,
pregnancy, oh yeah,
I like to think of those as like exercise snacks. Athletes almost have to retrain their mindset when they're pregnant and postpartum, because sometimes
yeah,
if you don't feel it, if you don't have the energy or the time, like once
yeah,
you just start moving, that's better than nothing. If you got 5 minutes, 10 minutes, like something's better than nothing. Or
nothing
to
exactly.
work out, sometimes you're interrupted by baby A, you know, and then you got to drop what you're doing. And it's a
Exactly.
athlete, it really is annoying because you want to get through your workout, but that's just a part of motherhood where we almost have to retrain our mindset to be okay with like something's better than nothing. Moving my body for 5 minutes is one little exercise snack, and that's going to go a long way if
A
we
long way,
start.
yeah. Yeah, that's really good. I think that's a good way to look at it, as you did mention, Krystle. For guys, if you're just joining in, I am here with Krystle today of Expected and Empowered, and we're talking about fitness during, before, during, and after pregnancy. Things, the little things that you can do to prevent the symptoms or the regular things that people think is normal that you can have, you should have during pregnancy, and what you can do to help yourself. So if you're just joining in, I would be uploading everything that we have discussed or you've missed on my IGTV, and you can catch up on that. But we're just going to go ahead. And if you do have any questions for Krystle, please use the question tab down, and I would be reading out the questions to her to answer. But we're just going to go ahead. But if you do have any questions, this is the best time to do that. And we'll also be giving out a free guide to a lucky mom or mom to be. Okay. Oh yeah, you just put the discount. Thank you. So yeah,
Yeah.
guys, and apart from the free guide, if you do want to go ahead and check out your website, you can also you would be getting a 10% discount if you be using my name, which is Mackie Lawson. Krystle just put it, but I will also note that down and pin it. So if you do want to get the guide on your own, you can use that discount. Oh, sorry, Papa. Sorry, guys. I have baby here with me today. So, Krystle, another question that I have for you is, after pregnancy. So there are two types differences in pregnancy. There's the vaginal birth. I'm sorry, guys. 1 second.
Fine.
Okay, he's good. So, guys, I'm sorry about that. There's the two. Obviously, in childbirth, it could go either ways. You can have the vaginal birth, and you can also have the C-section. And these two types of deliveries have different ways that the mom would heal. So in terms of vaginal, I know is more on the abdominal side of things that the mom should be concentrating on in terms of healing. And for C-section, it should be more on the pelvic area. So what would you say more about, like, if you want to expatiate more on what I just said? So what advice or what recommendations will you give mom that have gone through either of this kind of deliveries?
Yeah, so there definitely is a difference in how you would want to rehab both of those. Like you said, for example, the vaginal birth, we're focusing on really getting that core back. Your core is comprised of your diaphragm, pelvic floor, abs, and back. Obviously, if you have a vaginal birth, your vagina is a little bit on the rougher side. You know, it's
Exactly.
recovering. So then we want to make sure that those other areas are really helping it recover. So vaginal birth, we really want to focus too on inhaling in. As we inhale in, our pelvic floor relaxes or lengthens, which is a good thing after a vaginal birth, so that we getting the system to work. No matter what type of birth you had, one of the biggest parts is reconnecting our body to our brain so that things happen automatically. If you've ever had a kid and you like have lingering low back pain forever after that, part of it probably is that our brain didn't start automatically doing things again with our body. So we just want to kick up these automated patterns by breathing and using those other pieces of the core that weren't affected. So if you had a cesarean section, and like you said, you could do pelvic floor contractions, relaxing, pelvic floor contractions, relaxing with breath is going to be something really powerful. Another thing that people need to do right after pregnancy is make sure that we're strength training the deep hip rotators in our hip socket. This is going to help support forces when we're like jumping, from the force going from our legs through our core, or if we're holding like a squirmy baby that won't like, calm down, it has to be able to transition the force to and from each area. So this is going to really help make things automatic if we can get those hips rotating. Often when people think of exercise and hip strength, they're only thinking about squats and lunges, and we definitely want to be adding in lateral movement. So if I have a circle band and I'm moving to the side, or step ups to the side, or movements that are going to get my hips moving in all sorts of directions, this is also going to allow my pelvic floor and that area to heal a lot faster.
That's really good. I'm happy you did touch on that more. And then, thinking about it and some conversations I've had with some moms, just like, oh, it's really hard. I know that obviously I don't expect people to start working out until the doctor gives them the go ahead from 6 weeks, depending on the kind of delivery that you had. But then there's the psychological and the mental side of things in terms of depression and there are other things. You just dealing with the fact that you just became a mom. The mental side of things also can actually. Do you think that these things actually affect the healing process? Because it's one thing for you to want to actually get your body back or heal, and then it's another thing for your mental state to not be ready, or should I say, you're going through a lot processing the fact that you just became a mom, going through postpartum depression. So do you think that these things actually deter healing, and how do you think these things can actually be avoided or come together?
Those two things are so interrelated. We cannot take our mental and physical health and separate them. So one of the top leading factors if somebody has postpartum depression is urinary stress incontinence. So if they're leaking, how do you feel like sexy? How do you feel like a woman? How do you feel like want to feel intimate with your partner if you have urinary stress incontinence, where you're like, I feel so insecure about this. This doesn't feel good to me. It doesn't feel right. So again, like the physical and the mental, we literally can't separate those things in this period.
Yeah.
And I just think too, so much of motherhood is giving, giving, giving. But if we just take a little bit of time for ourselves and our physical body, it goes a long way mentally to be more patient with our kids, to be kinder to ourselves. It's insane.
So that's really good. I'm sorry, I was distracted for a second. But yeah, it's good that you did say explain more on that, because it's one thing to want to get back to yourself, but I just feel like, especially for first moms, because they haven't experienced this before, and your mind is still going through a lot of things, processing the fact that you just became a mom, the fact that you're barely sleeping at night, the fact that, and then again, there are some people that have probably had a very traumatic delivery, as you did mention, and maybe there's some side effects or some things you're still dealing with. So that in itself can be a lot in trying to combine this fitness side of things. So it's good that you did mention that, and I feel like people should actually take out time to make sure that your mental health is where it should be before trying to think, because if you start the fitness side of things and your mental state is not where it's supposed to be, I don't think it's going to work out the way you actually want it to. So that's a good thing for you to have pointed out. So would you say that, so I know that, like we mentioned, there are some common things in terms of that occur during postpartum. So what kind of exercises would you recommend after delivery, depending on the kind of delivery that you had? Maybe if it's C-section, what would you say? And if it's vaginal, what would you say?
Yeah, so with a C-section, we want to be making sure we're doing what's called back extension exercises. So my back's coming like this. If you've ever had a C-section, your low back will be really achy, because if you think about it, when you heal from a C-section, you're almost like bent forward, because it makes you like want to take tension off that area.
Yeah.
So our back goes through a full range of motion, this is going to help our abs heal in the front. And again, that's not right away, but maybe starting around like 6-8 weeks, we're starting to do some of those back motions, and we're not doing it where it's like painful in the front, but starting to reduce that. And then with a vaginal birth, again, one thing that you really want to do is restrain your hips, and your upper back muscles. The pelvic floor is like the best friend of like the best friend ever. The pelvic floor like brings you over food or brings you a Starbucks gift certificate or Starbucks. It will help whatever area of the body that needs help. But the
Yeah.
thing is it overtakes like too much work. You know, where like the mom's literally that is helping you is getting way too tuckered out because she has to
Yeah.
take care of herself, but she's trying to take care of you as a friend. The pelvic
Yeah.
same thing. So we need to make sure those other areas are strong. So if I don't have enough strength to carry my toddler along, over, I'm going to hold my breath and then put pressure downward onto my pelvic floor. That's when you can start to have the incontinence, prolapse, hemorrhoids, diastasis recti. Because if we don't have
Yeah.
strength, the pelvic floor will take on the brunt of it.
Yeah, that's it's good that you did mention that, because I was having a conversation with a friend of mine recently that just had a baby, and then she's been complaining of back pain and knee pain, and I kept on asking her that, okay, so what kind of exercises have you been doing, or what kind of, and how have you been lifting your baby? Because that's a lot of people actually underestimate the fact that, because once you become a mom, you're going to be doing a lot of carrying, a lot of bending, and a lot of in fact everything that has to do with from your lower back down to your legs, basically. So if you have not healed the way you should have after having a baby, and then you combining the fact that you have to do these things with baby, that could lead to more issues. So you did mention that more on the back. So and that's for C-section. What happens to people that had vaginal birth? Do they do the same exercises, or?
Well, we want to make sure that they're strength training those hip muscles up.
Yeah.
So that could look like those resistance band exercises.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this side of my butt works with this side of my arm. So
Yeah.
so these diagonal will also help close and heal and relax our pelvic floor if we're working them right. So one of the exercises I love the most is chops that will like pull those diagonals
Yeah,
on.
diagonal.
So
Yeah.
thing that I like doing in programming like makes our body want to be the most efficient. It's not just simply about like getting a workout in. It's like trying to connect the brain so that things happen automatically. You literally have to relearn everything after you have a baby. So with vaginal birth, I'm like really big on those diagonals. Diagonal chops. You can do one-sided loads with squats
Yeah.
because carrying a child around. So we want your obliques on the opposite side.
To be very strong. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good. I'm just trying to quickly put out the discount code, and I'm also going to pin it so that if anyone who's joining and you want to get more on this information that has been given by Krystle for free, I think you should go ahead, because these things are really, really important. I personally have used the postpartum guide, and it did really help me after my C-section 6 weeks after. So I did this for 2 months, and I'm still doing it. I still go back to it sometimes for some certain things, and it did really help me. So if you, and it's not just for postpartum, if you want to get more information about before pregnancy, after pregnancy, and during pregnancy, this guide helps. So feel free to go onto their website and just explore what you think you need and will be good for you. You can even gift it to a friend for Christmas who you think is who's having a baby now, and they would really, really appreciate it. So you can use the discount code I just pinned there. It's Mackie Lawson 10. So that will give you a 10% discount. But we're still going to give one lucky mom the guide at the end of the live, which is in a few minutes. So, but yeah, if you do have any questions for Krystle in terms of fitness, anything about pregnancy related or after pregnancy, please feel free to ask that question now, because we would be ending the live really soon. Okay. But yeah, I think I have asked most of the questions in terms of what I know that most people might want to know. But if you do have any questions, please feel free to send in that question now. Well, Krystle, is there any other thing that you want to add in terms of generally, like what advice you give to moms in terms of being taking their fitness in while before pregnancy and after pregnancy serious?
No, I think just being kind to yourself and patient with your body. It can be really hard to be patient with your body. I know after my first I wanted to like lose weight and get back to my pre-baby weight as soon as I could. And our bodies just don't work like that. So really being patient and consistent and practicing healthy habits are going to go a long way. And it's not as quick as social media or like people make it think that you bounce back from babies, and you're not made to bounce back from babies.
Okay, that's exactly, that's a very good one, what you said about bouncing back, because a lot of people just feel like, oh, they put a lot of pressure on themselves. And I think social media doesn't really help with that situation, you know, because you see some people, one thing I always tell people is everyone's pregnancy and everybody's body is different. So you can't look at one person and say, oh, this worked for that person and then it must work for me. So don't put a lot of pressure, as you said. That's a very good one. Heal at your own pace and do things at your own pace, and do what works for you, basically. So someone just did ask a question. She said, what about fitness and mastitis? What is too much? I don't know if I'm reading that right. Can you see the question? It's from Pujam.
For some reason, my questions aren't letting me scroll. So fit, like, oh, when you know what's too much in fitness?
Yeah, she said, what about fitness and mastitis? What is
Oh,
too much? Yes. And she said,
yeah.
what is too much? So basically, I think what she's trying to say is fitness and mastitis, basically knowing the limit to go and not doing too much that will harm baby, I think. But let me see if it's the same person that just asked the question. Okay, no, that's not, that's a different question. But yeah, let's see if you can. I think what the person is trying to say is when to know not to, when you, like, you shouldn't do too much. When do you know when it's becoming
Yeah.
too much, basically? I think that's what she was probably trying to ask. But Pujam, if you can rephrase that question while she's trying to answer it to our understanding, that would be nice, please.
So in exercise, there's a couple warning signs that our body will give us that we're doing too much. So as far as the pelvic floor is concerned, the pelvic floor sometimes can feel like there's a lot of pressure going downwards, or any leaking during pregnancy is common, but is not normal. So if you're seeing leaking during pregnancy, we know that the pelvic floor isn't able to handle what's going on. So maybe to modifying it, like I'm a big runner, but during pregnancy, I had because I like running my body, it just wasn't liking. And then also too, like if you really are getting sore in the same areas, so if your belly feels like it's strained, or you have synthesis pain, or your knees start bothering you for like more than 48 hours, something's probably like not right. And then the last thing that I would say during pregnancy is watching for that coning or the doming. So again, that's that distension where the like kind of come at you, versus when I'm doing exercise, I should see that flattening appearance. I should actually be able to pull back in it towards my spine. And we know that you're doing too much if you see some of that happening often.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Pujam, I hope Krystle has been able to answer your question to your liking, I hope. But if we did get that wrong, please do rephrase the question so we can answer that for you better. So someone said, I'm 7 months postpartum from a C-section. What do you recommend to start with?
Yeah, so starting with some pelvic movement, this area again tends to get like pretty stuck. So even just pelvic tilts where you're starting to like tuck your butt underneath you. I call it like the Michael Jackson move because he's like doing
Exactly.
so like Jackson, relax. Michael Jackson, relax. We usually will get stuck almost like with our butts out, or our butts like shoved too far forward underneath us with the C-section. So I can start to do movements that are going to make that happen as well. As far as like RDLs would be a great one. I could also again do like those one-sided loaded squats, because then that forces my belly to work on different sides of my abdominal wall are going to be some good ones. And then just really building up the core. So a lot of building up your core is getting your upper back to move. So some upper back mobility and strength things, because our ribs attached to our like the bottom, I'm sorry, our abs attached to the bottom of our rib cage. So helping that area heal, you have to and load it and do some training stuff through the abs.
Okay, so let me see who asked that question. Yeah, so Lizzie Little One, I hope Krystle has been able to give you some pointers. But if you do want to get a full guide on this, because you're 7 months postpartum, so you should have been, depending, I hope, you should have been given the because I did have a C-section too. I was given the go ahead to start working out from 6 weeks. So I don't know if that's the same case with you, but the guide did really help me. So I think she's giving you a few pointers. But if you want to get more detailed and how you can actually plan it during the day, in the morning, like a full detail guide, feel free to go on to Expecting and Empowered website where you'll be able to get a full guide and more information on this. And I'm also giving you a 10% discount. So you can use, I pinned it down there, it's Mackie Lost Intent. So you can use that to get a discount off the guide. Another question that came in is, what binder do you recommend for post C-section?
Yes. So most hospitals will give you an abdominal binder, and usually they're elastic. With C-section moms, all I tell them to do is put it lower. What we don't want to see in a binder, sorry, it sounds really bright here. What we don't want to see in a binder is one that's really, really rigid. So where you can't breathe into it and it expands, because that breath is going to be so important. So you really want elasticy ones. And
Yeah.
Obey that has some pants that are compression pants as well. So you want to see something that gives you a little bit of give, but also supports you a little bit. And one of the great things about those binders is to keep out some of the inflammation. After a C-section or a vaginal delivery, part of the problem is the swelling, because our body has been through trauma areas. So keeping the swelling down, which is going to include rest, ice, proper nutrition, that compression. So it's literally like the basics of any other surgery or vaginal birth. We want to go back to the basics and make sure this area is taken care of.
Okay. So I hope your question has been answered. Let me see. 1 second. Yeah, that'll be Ali Pilch White. I hope Krystle is giving you a pointer towards that. I did also have a C-section, so was able to get one like she described off Amazon. So there are a few people that do sell that, depending, but it really depends on what you're looking for. But yeah, you don't want to get something too tight and is breathable, because you just had a surgery literally. So you want to be very careful what you pick out. And then Lizzie says, thank you for answering her question about the 7 months postpartum guide. And then, guys, yeah, I can see that some people are just joining in. Basically, today's topic is fitness before, during, and after pregnancy. Everything that you can do to prepare yourself for having a baby, what you can do during your pregnancy, and what you can do after to help your body heal better. I think we lost Krystle for a second there. I don't know. Hopefully she comes back. But yeah, if you're just joining, I would be uploading everything we've discussed on my IGTV, so you can catch up on everything that we've discussed today. And if you want to get any of the guides from Krystle's from Expecting and Empowered, we lost Krystle. Let me see if I can add her back. Okay, she's back. Okay, I lost you there for a second. Okay, so I was just telling people how they can get the guide, and we're going to be giving one lucky mom. Hopefully, I think that's going to be very hard now to actually pick someone, because we can't really know who has been here. People have been going, except we decide to pick for one of the ladies who just asked a question. But another question just came in. So we have a few minutes, guys. So we're just going to try to answer this within the next 5 minutes. So it said, what kind of underwear or other garments do you recommend for working out with prolapse after vaginal birth?
Yeah, so there's a couple different companies that do them, but the V2 support is really nice. Something that's going to add compression from below and help support. And again, you can do that when you're exercising, or let's say you have a really busy day of errands, or something induces your prolapse. Those V2 supports can be worn during that time. And then also making sure that you're breathing during exercise instead of holding your breath. When we hold our breath, we're going to press downwards, and that's just like squeezing your organs out. Just like if I were to squeeze the middle of a toothpaste container, they go down. Same thing with your organs. So when I exercise using our guides and stuff, I'm inhaling, exhaling, as I'm doing the exercises. So I sound crazy with my breath. I'm really making sure that I'm controlling pressure through that area.
That's good. So I hope your question has been answered. Okay. I don't want to, let me see. I don't want to pronounce it. Okay. That's Tansei K _ K. I hope Krystle has answered your question in terms of what you can use. Another question just came in. She says, she's saying thank you for the information. Wish I had done more research on this before my 2 babies. So good to know and to prepare for the next one. Yeah. So that's what I and Krystle were saying when I was about to start the live, that we actually do. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this show, is because a lot of negative things in terms of surrounding pregnancy are more promoted than the positive side, and this information is not out there. Personally, myself, before my baby, I did not know that I had to do some kind of preparation before having a baby, but now I know. So that's the reason why we're putting this out there. So do feel free to share this information. This live will be up on my IGTV to whoever you think would need this, and please feel free to check out the Expecting and Empowered websites for more information. So another question, we're just going to take one more question, and before we go. So Lizzie Little One says, what are some safe exercises for the ab separation? Okay, we kind of already mentioned this in the midst of the ab the questions I did ask her about diastasis recti, but we would, Krystle, can you just go through that quickly? And this will be the last question for today.
Yeah. So, okay, our abs, we have multiple different layers of our abdominal wall. One of the best layers to activate is something called your transverse abdominis. This is like the best pair of space that's literally inside of us. So what we want to do by activating that is think hip bone to hip bone, almost like you're closing a book. So think about drawing these 2 hip bones in towards each other and then zipping that up like a tight pair of pants. And then we can start to add movement on top of that. So I could do where I'm laying on my back, and I could get my transverse abdominis activated, and then I could drop down where I'm doing marches. I could straighten my leg and bend my other one, straighten and bend, but I'm holding that transverse abdominis nice and tight. I know I'm activating it if I take the little pointy parts of your hip, go 1 inch in, 1 inch down, and you should feel a fullness. See when I let it go, it kind of lets go there, and then when I activate it, it gets nice and stiff underneath my fingers. So you can monitor for that during exercise. And the second thing that I think like nobody talks about, actually, Burrell Institute from the UK, she talks a lot about soft tissue manipulation. So our obliques come around and they actually attach into the rectus or into the rectus abdominis. That's what separates during diastasis recti. So we want to get all the trigger points out of here. I like to take like lotion and I'll rub people's stomachs, eyes, and there's usually like right here, I have one on me, there's like a trigger point in there, so I'll hold it and I'll breathe. But getting this moving in the clinic, I can like close people's DRs. Like if they come in with like a 3-finger DR, I can get it down to where it's like barely a 1-finger DR sometimes by myself if I go through and I work the tissue. But you could also do that at home with lotion, where you're just going through, rubbing on the side of your abdominal wall. It's going to help get that center, less tension on it, so there's less pulling apart of that middle muscle. I feel like that works wonders, and nobody's told that.
Yeah, at all. So Lizzie, I hope Krystle has been able to answer your question, and she even gave you demonstrations, guys. Like literally, you guys should be very thankful to Krystle, because everything that she's giving you, this is what people pay for. So if you do want more information on this, please feel free to go on to Expecting and Empowered. Everything you need in terms of before, during, and after pregnancy, even if it's you had a C-section or a vaginal birth, all the information you need there, and the guides are on there. And if you feel you want to get this for yourself or a family friend for Christmas, feel free to use the discount code. I'm offering you a 10% discount, so that will be a little less, save some coins on getting the guide. Okay, we have a few minutes to the end of this. Krystle, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate this, and I know that this video will go a long way to someone who is having a baby or planning to have a baby or is expecting a baby at the moment. Okay, and in terms of the giveaway, this is going to be very tricky. Okay, because I know that people have been going in and out. So what I'm going to do is we're still going to give that, but like I said, I always upload this live immediately we're done on my IGTV. So on there, I'm going to give out information about the giveaway. Okay, so all you have to do is you have to be following expecting and empowered, and you have to be following myself, and then also I would announce the winner. Let's push it to Sunday. I would announce the winner on Sunday so that it will be free and fair, because I know that people have been going in and out and I can't consistently just pick a random person. Some people will be upset. So I think that will be much more better. You have to be following expecting and empowered, and you have to be following myself. So I would upload that, and then you have to tag any friend or family, 2 friends or family. I'll be leaving that information on the upload as soon as we're done on how you can join the giveaway. So on Sunday I'll do pick out the people who have followed the rules, and then do a random pick, and one person will be gifted this guide. Sorry guys. So yeah, that's it basically. So thank you so much, Krystle, for being here with us and taking out time to explain and answer all the questions that anyone most of our audience have had today. And yeah, so that's it basically. Thank you so much.
Meeting you and talking to you. And
definitely. We would definitely be seeing more of each other. Definitely. I would be
good luck.
contacting you. All right then. Thank you so much. Yeah. Have a great day. Bye. All right then. So guys, thank you. That's it for today. If you're just tuning in, this is New Mom Diaries, and on here we share everything about mom life, from baby to delivery to everything good, the good, bad, and the ugly. And this is the 10th episode. So if you want to catch up on all the other episodes, feel free to catch up on my live. This is the 10th episode. I will be uploading this immediately we're done. And yeah, more details about the giveaway will be on there. So thank you for tuning in. Have a great weekend. I have a blessed Christmas. Bye guys. Say bye. Say bye. Bye.